What is up, homies? Welcome back to another trailer reaction. Yeah, that's all, folks. What is up, homies? Welcome back to another trailer reaction from Heroes Reforged. We are doing the official trailer for Morbius, the movie that I totally forgot about. And that's been moved maybe 7 times in the last 12 months.
You just know that a Sony executive clicked on this video on YouTube, and as soon as you started saying that out, they were like, son of a bitch! Greg, get in here, look at this! They forgot about the movie. Can't show this to the investors.
I can't even, I honestly don't even remember what the track is for when it was originally supposed to come out. I think it was in like December of last year or something, but who knows?
No idea.
I have heard very little about this trailer online, and it's not because I've not been on Twitter, because I have been, but I've heard very few people talking about it. Even though it's number 4 trending, no one has said too much.
I had one person tweet at me about something, but I don't want to say it because it might be a spoiler. And I read it and I was like, okay, I'm interested, but I don't want to say it because it might be a spoiler. So I'll tell you what this person said to me right after we watch it.
So we should watch it. If you guys are interested in supporting the channel, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/heroesreforged. We just started watching Squid Game. What a crazy show. We're gonna have all the reactions for that show on Patreon, including everything else we've reacted to in the last year. Happy birthday, it's our 1 year. Also, if you go to store.heroesreforged.com or go to the link in the description, we have our Heroes Reforged t-shirt. Check that out, grab one. We might be dropping something for the holidays soon. You never know.
Exclusives, who knows?
You better bookmark that page.
Again, that Sony executive is like, Craig, I'm gonna get you one of these shirts. They look good. I'm gonna get it for you.
You want purple? You want purple, blue, red? All 3. We'll get all 3.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Staring at his face right now.
Yeah.
I love a trailer for the trailer. You gotta love it.
For the trailer. Yep.
How can we put the word Marvel
everywhere
at the very front?
Doctor? I am a doctor. I should have died years ago. People all over the world have my disease. I'm here to find a cure. We have to push the boundaries, take the risks. If you're gonna run, do it now.
So dramatic.
Yeah.
People are strange.
Dr. Michael Morbius, you've been missing for 2 months.
When you're a stranger,
Then you were found on a container ship that washed up off of Long Island.
faces look ugly. When you're alone,
What did you do to yourself, Doctor?
Raptors.
I wish I knew.
I'm Batman. Oh, Jesus. Okay, here we go. Just to remind you that we are part of all these other movies that we're making.
Not exactly. I have increased strength and speed and some form of bat radar. What else can I do?
His ear.
Yeah. Oh, he can fly.
There are limits.
Oscorp.
There has to be.
There's something inside of me. It wants to hunt and consume blood.
Michael.
when you're a stranger,
He's a vampire.
and you control it.
I don't know.
Half the city wants to kill you.
We haven't had anything this good since that thing in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Half wants to control you.
Obvious reference to Venom.
You and I should stay in touch.
Okay.
All right.
That dude needs to save a life. But I don't know what I'm capable of.
You save lives, you don't take them. Are you here to heal the world? Or to destroy it? Who the hell are you, Matt?
I am
Batman.
I'm just kidding. It's Dr. Michael Morbius at your service.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, I will say this. For a trailer, it's not that bad of a, like, it's not about a bad trailer, in my opinion. I just don't feel like it gives me, as someone who doesn't know the character of Michael Morbius, I still don't feel like I fully understand who he is. And I mean, I know it's a trailer,
He's a vampire.
Yeah, but I feel like other trailers even for things like Venom, I still get a little bit of a better understanding.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I know Eddie Brock a little bit better than Michael Morbius. But generally speaking, I feel like I get to understand a little bit of who the characters are. With Morbius, it's still very, very vague. Like, he's a doctor who has something, who gets bitten by bats, and he's a vampire now. And I'm like, okay, that's very surface level.
I think that's all you kind of need to know.
Yeah.
Like, he's not, as far as I know, he's not that deep of a villain. Like, he's a guy who's maybe like a B, C, D list tier villain for Spider-Man.
Yeah. I remember him from the animated series, and that's about it.
Right,
Me
and
too.
they didn't spend a lot of time with him there because he doesn't really have a huge involvement in Spider-Man's rogue gallery. This trailer was just super generic to me. It just felt like a paint by colors, could have been made by anybody, just like, let's have a studio make a movie with a vampire villain, and this is what they came up with.
Or that genericness, I also feel like, is with the sort of tagline of like the line between a hero and a villain is, you know, this January. Like, I feel like that whole thing is always kind of lip service, and these movies will never really actually go there. I can't remember the last time I saw a movie that had a superhero-ish character, and I thought, oh man, they really ride the line between hero and villain. But, you know, like, just like with the Venom movies, they are, all of these movies, these Spider-Man villain spin-off movies, ultimately, just like the MCU movies, just like every superhero movie is supposed to be, this is going to be for kids, it's going to be for teenagers, it's going to be for young people. And I don't see them having a movie where he's going to kill innocent people, he's going to kill kids in hospitals, and then he's going to save people and be like, I don't know what to do. You know, because even Venom is made to be a super good guy, even though he eats people's heads off. The whole purpose is like, just bad guys' heads, just bad guys' heads. Yeah. And it's because these characters haven't, in my opinion, been established as like coming from a world where they have started as villains, as Spider-Man villains, and then, you know, we go off into their own separate stories from there. I think that it has that generic feel. I also feel bad too, because like you're saying, Adam, it's not a bad trailer, and there's stuff in it that is well done, and these great little moments. I think maybe my favorite moment is when Jared Leto's like, I am Venom. Just kidding, man. It's me, man. Dr. Michael Morbius. Because I'm like, there's a little bit of life there. Is this movie going to have some fun? Is it going to be fun to watch? And the other thing that I was going to mention is the generic, it's now generic, is where it's like, you're going to take a classic song and turn it down and make a creepy version of it. And that's the epic. It's like, there's been videos parodying how trailer houses do this now. It's difficult for a trailer to come out and really leave an impact, because we see these every single day and they all feel sameness. So that didn't inspire a whole bunch of confidence. Not that other superhero movie trailers don't do that same kind of thing, but like, it just kind of added to the sort of generic feel of it.
As an example, another movie that Mr. Jared Leto was in, the trailer for Suicide Squad. Do you guys remember the hype? To touch on your point with the music,
awesome trailer.
The trailer, because they didn't like skimp on or make a different version of the Queen song. Like they chopped up the Queen song to make it fit the trailer, but it had so much energy, and it honestly, say what you will about the movie, that trailer was amazing, and it made me really, really hyped up for that movie. I feel like them turning everything into a cinematic score is just so cliche at this point. It's just like,
it's overdone.
It's to the point where it's like, in a world, like, it's
a little bit
kind of thing where you don't do it anymore. Like, get over it, move on, set a new trend, be more creative. That's why I feel like all of this was generic.
The other thing is that the rest of the film also feels a little bit like, I know people have been saying this for the Venom movies, and I did see some chatter about this movie on Twitter over the past couple days, but I think I saw somebody say something like, this movie looks awesome in 1997. Like, this movie looks like a movie I would love if I saw it in 2002. You know, this feeling of it's kind of a throwback, because it is sort of cheesy, and it has these the tragic backstory for the doctor and all this other stuff.
Like, if this would have been the vampire that Blade fought, okay, cool, maybe that would have been fun.
That's how it works in the comics.
Well, and also, cool. I think part of it also is the type of actors that they use. Like, I love Tom Hardy, but they seem to kind of be gravitating towards these, like, and not for all of them, because I think, isn't Aaron Taylor Johnson playing Kraven the Hunter? I think, right?
Maybe, I think rumored. Sure.
But I feel like they keep getting these like older. I don't want to say older. There's a lot of young talent in the industry, right? And there's a lot of people who are under 35 who I think could play a lot of these characters. Not to say that they can, but like we've already seen Tom Hardy as Bane. We've already seen Jared Leto as the Joker. Give us some new people to play these roles.
I think to echo what you're saying with some sonar is what it's called, not bat radar. It's called sonar. Is to echo that, Adam, is like it still feels like these movies, the Venom movies and this movie, like they are trying to get movie stars, and Jared Leto is that kind. Jared Leto is like, I think, the most famous person on this cast list, if we're not counting Michael Keaton.
Right.
Jared Leto is the most famous and sort of, and he's the most sort of like lucrative or like talked about movie star right now, and not to say the rest of the cast isn't interesting or talented. Like I want to see Tyrese in this, and I want to see these other actors in this film. But the other thing too is like that whole sequence in the trailer where he's like discovering his powers. I didn't realize, like, man, that feels dated now, because we've seen so many movies where characters are like, what else can I do? And it's like, again, that shit was cool in 1997, and it almost feels like we've kind of moved past that level of a superhero origin,
the montage
story.
Kind of like discovery.
Montage.
The trick is, how do you make it fresh? Shazam made it fresh because they're like, what if it's a kid in a superhero body? That's going to be different. And so the thing that I got tweeted at was, somebody asked, is this in the MCU or not? And so we saw Michael Keaton. And then we saw
Michael Keaton in the last trailer too.
We did. We saw the Daily Bugle, and
we saw Spider-Man, but it was like Raimi's Spider-Man.
Yep. And I'm sure New Rockstars picked it apart and told everybody who's watching this all of the different references and buildings in the background and freeze frame, and you see these numbers pertain to this issue of the comic, whatever. I don't know if it's in the MCU. I don't know if they were waiting for Spider-Man No Way Home to come out. I don't know if they plan to release this before Spider-Man No Way Home, as though it's some sort of a tie-in. I have no idea what. A couple of years from now, we'll be able to look back and see what all of that stuff was when it's laid out, what it meant, meaning Spider-Man Far From Home, cliffhangered right into No Way Home, and that intersected with Loki and maybe WandaVision with Doctor Strange, and then the Doctor Strange movie took place after that, and then Shang-Chi maybe took place after that, because Doctor Strange is not in Shang-Chi. He's missing. Where is he? And then where do Venom and the Morbius movie come into play? What the hell is Michael Keaton doing? The next time we see Michael Keaton, are we going to see him in an MCU movie, or is it going to be a Sony movie? Is he going to like all of these questions, dude? I don't have the answers to, and I frankly don't know if Sony has the answers to them, just based off of how they did Venom mid-credits scene.
Right. Yeah.
Venom 2. Yeah, so it's a big question mark, and it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence.
And I think that's
just.
Yeah, go ahead.
It just doesn't inspire me to watch the movie. There's no urge for me to go and see this movie at this point, because I feel like I've seen it 1,000 times.
Yeah, and I think right now my thing about this movie is similar to what you guys are saying, is not that everything, I don't think that everything needs to or should be or has to be connected, but it really feels like Sony is trying to do that. Like they put Venom into the MCU, whether it was worked out beforehand or not, that's a thing. So now it feels like, well, okay, it must mean that Morbius will probably follow. If Michael Keaton's in it, that's the key ingredient right there. Then they're doing Kraven, and then they're doing Black Cat, So I'm like, what is kind of the end game here? Or how tied to the MCU is it going to be? And I'm trying to like ignore that, while at the same time I am mildly kind of irritated that on the outside, from the outsider's perspective, it feels like it's just throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. And that we've dealt with that before, whether it wasn't with DC movies or some Star Wars movies. And that kind of is always just like, if you're just trying to copy Marvel for the sake of copying Marvel, or you're trying to like bank on Spider-Man, like the world of Spider-Man, to bring you billion-dollar profits.
I think part of it is also making movies to hold on to the rights. Like they just like everything else, if you don't make a movie, you won't hold on to the rights to that character or whatever. So
I don't know how long, I don't know how much time Sony has between Spider-Man movies. They have to make one, or the rights go back, because look at Universal. Universal has not made a Hulk movie since 2008.
Yeah.
They somehow still retain the rights to that character
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he's going to be in She-Hulk. Yeah, that's confirmed.
Because that's a loophole with television. That's a loophole.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I don't know. I think Spider-Man, it's like every 6 to 8 years they have to make a movie. But yeah, like if they make Morbius and Venom and Black Cat and all these adjacent characters, does that mean they still retain the rights? And instead of just putting all their eggs in the Spider-Man basket, they're going to branch out a universe? But again, it goes back to the conversation of what is the end game?
Right.
We don't know.
I don't think they know. I don't think anybody knows.
No.
And it's sad. It's sad. These characters could be so much more, but instead we get these generic...
I mean, for me, if they would have just came out and said, like, we're not doing interconnected stuff right now, like we're just building villains or we're just building a universe.
That would actually be pretty refreshing, yeah.
And Spider-Man will be an interconnected piece, and whenever we feel like plucking a character and putting him into a Spider-Man movie, we will like work it out and build it out. That's fine. With this, it just kind of feels like, well, we'll see what the audience reception is. People loved Venom, and they kept saying they wanted to see Tom Hardy and Tom Holland in a movie, so let's make it happen. And you're like, okay. Feels that's just weird. Kind of like you pull the audience and then you do what they want to do. That just doesn't really feel creative to me.
Not at all. No.
I wish everybody involved the best. I want this movie to be good. It looks better than Venom, Let There Be Carnage, but it does not look as good as Spider-Man Far From Home or Venom, the first one. You know, we'll see in the fantastic month to release a movie, which is January. We'll see. We'll see if it's a success.
Everybody loves the January movie.
We'll see what this actually turns out to be, and how does Michael Keaton tie into it, and then how does it tie to the greater Spider-Man universe, because they're going to have to do it. So
Right. And scene.
But guys, let us know in the comments below what you thought about this official trailer for Morbius. How do you think it's going to tie back to the MCU or back to the Spider-Man universe outside of the obvious of Michael Keaton being in this movie? Let us know your thoughts below. Do you want to see this character integrated into the MCU? Subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you guys in the next reaction. Bye.